Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Akulmach, and today one of the key items that is being discussed in the social media is a program started by China called Sharp Eye Initiative, and it's very disturbing and also astonishing at the same time. So let me invite my friend from UK, Mr. Naval, going to discuss this further.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, let's have a discussion on something that could be interesting, but might be quite disturbing. So, what is it?
Well, this is a surveillance program started by the government of China to do surveillance on all their subjects. It's actually in Chinese called, if I'm not, please pardon me with my Chinese pronunciation. I don't know Chinese. I'm doing my best. It's called Zhu Liang Initiative, and in other words, it's also called Sharp Eye, which is literally started in 2013 as an experiment in a small village, but now it has been extended to the entire country. And recently, what I've read in the in the media is that they have converted the entire Beijing into a good amount of surveillance and all that. And now the authorities are saying that they have the capability to do surveillance across China, across everyone, and they can cover 99.8% population under this program. And interesting part, Naval, is that the cameras are running. There are failover procedures, and the feed is available on the TV also. So if you are a citizen of China, you can actually watch these surveillance tapes. If you if you can get that access to that frequency, you can tune in and get that feed into your TV, and you can also become a surveillance agent. And if you see something peculiar, you can report it. So literally, you know 30% of the population is under surveillance by each other, by the government, and by everyone. So this is so interesting and so disturbing at the same time.
Well, there's government by consent. I would think this could be. But let's look at the positives of this. Let's look at so if someone goes missing, then you could have the whole nation looking for that person. Of course, if the person went missing because they wanted to go missing, then that's not really going to be fair on that person, is it? But there are positives and negatives with regards to anything in life. This one hits privacy law right smack bang in the middle of your face, really. And I suppose the question we should be asking here is not what they're doing and how they're doing it, but why. Why are they doing this? Is there a thought process that's going through them that is in line with the author of Minority Report? In other words, stopping crimes happening, making it a safer community? Or is it 1984 H.G. Wells' version of life? In other words, someone's going to be watching you wherever you go. You can't even go to the bathroom without a camera being on you. And I suppose in some respects, it's probably somewhere in between, if the truth be known. But as you said, this isn't a new phenomenon. This has been tried and tested back in, nearly 10 years ago now. And they've rolled it out. So what do you think China's reasons for doing this?
Well, I think their reason could be like any other government. I think they are more concerned about security. But I'm more concerned as a citizen, even though I'm not Chinese, but I'm concerned that if my government takes the cue and starts something like this, which is officially start doing surveillance on their citizen, it is going to be a very precarious situation for me. Because I feel that when I am walking on the road, nobody's watching me. And when I'm taking a stroll in the park, nobody's watching me. So it is, as the program also says, sharp eye. So imagine situation of 1.5 billion people in China. The sharp eye is always watching you. What kind of mental state those people would be. Everybody is watching everyone. So it is, I think, it's
Well,
a very.
I'm glad they've got nothing else to do. I mean, it may even be almost like China's offer of a reality show. Just watching what other people are doing, which is quite sad when you think about it. And it's hardly productive, is it? It may stop the odd crime. It may identify, someone that's gone missing. It may identify, a criminal somewhere or a pickpocket. I think the interesting comment around sharp eye is probably a bit more poignant, to say the very least. I mean, let's face it. Let's take our mind off China for the moment. There isn't a capital in the world that you can't go in where there's not some sort of CCTV surveillance on you. I mean, I know going around London, which apparently a couple of years ago was the most CCTV'd country or town, city in the world. You couldn't go anywhere without a CCTV camera being on you, and for good reason, frankly, because it was about security. It was about the threat of dissidents, the threat of ISIS, and it was trying to, monitor events so that the police and the response services could literally get ahead of the game. So if there's a security principle around it all, I'm all for it, frankly. And I can't believe that anyone would be against it if it was just purely for security. But the issue is what happens with the tapes? What happens with them afterwards? Is there a Big Brother, a 1984 NSOC, view of life where all these tapes are being filed away, and then there's this huge AI program that's going on that then says from Minority Report, oh, in 5 years' time, this person's going to be a murderer, so we better lock him up now. I don't think that's happening for one moment, but it does play with your mind, when governments are doing this type of surveillance and they're not being open with it. It does make you wonder what it's there for. I think the interesting thing that you're saying here is that China's attempt here is to make it open, to give it to everybody, so that anyone can watch it on their TV. I mean, they're pretty sad individuals. They're going to be watching lots of, people moving around China. To be honest with you, moving in and out of shops. Oh, look what that person's bought. I wonder if it's still available. Keeping up with the Joneses type of approach, really. Maybe it's supposed to be a reality show. I mean, who knows, really? But the fact is, I suppose, by their openness here, they're saying, look, it is free. We're not hiding anything. We're keeping it. We're keeping our citizens safe, and you can help us keep our citizens safe. By tuning in every now and again and sending us your messages. But can you imagine all the messages that will be sent?
Well, Naval, you'll be surprised. I read in the article today morning, there's a lot of AI being used in Sharp Eye program. And the government is now claiming that they can do 99.8% surveillance on all their citizens. They have the tech available already installed. And this program has also sort of became a gold rush for all the surveillance companies across the world, because there was so much requirement to implement this. And they've just finished it and they've announced it. So there's a lot of AI, there's a lot of surveillance, a lot of background activities going on. Even though the camera feed is available for citizens, it does not rule out what fear you were expressing a moment ago. There's already AI in picture. There's I think there are more applications running in the background than only the TV feed, which you can see on your TV.
It does make you wonder why, though. You know, I'm sure we I don't, for the life of me, I'm not a criminal, so I don't think in that sort of way. I don't think that this is going to be a dark web arena, but it makes you wonder why. Why is all this surveillance? Is it to reduce the cost of the police force? Is it to identify um, uprisings before they've even got the thought process? Is it to identify new coronavirus problems? Some people's behaviour might be a little weird or a little funny. I'm sure they're going to be, as you say, there's AI in the background, so I'm sure they're going to be monitoring people's behaviour. Is it to design new roads, new pathways, new ways of doing things? The thing is, the questions are just endless, really, and we really don't know why. But from the Western world, we would be a little apprehensive of the fact that I can't go anywhere without being on a camera, because it's got to be more. There must be more behind it. Maybe that's our intuitive minds saying, because they're not being open with the reasons why, our imagination is now running away. And boy, have we got good imaginations, And you don't need to be in the street and look at these CCTV to have your imagination. You can close your eyes and sit on the sofa, and you can imagine all the reasons why this is happening. But what do you think is the fundamental reason here? What's the
Well,
big why?
Well, I think the clear difference between the way we feel, and you keep mentioning Western world, um, but let me tell you that very clearly, Neville. When there is a camera on the street, it is very well written as a disclaimer by the municipal corporation that this area is under surveillance. It's never the people. Any government, I'm sure UK government is not doing surveillance on people, and you are doing a surveillance on an area, on a street. And if there are cameras everywhere, there are cameras in every house in my neighborhood, there are cameras in every apartment. It doesn't mean that they are doing surveillance on people. So here, the core difference between what we do using the camera is surveillance of an area compared to surveillance of your citizens. So that is where the basic difference that I'm seeing, and the whole program of Sharp Eye is based around surveillance of their citizens.
So you think that they've transcended the surveillance of an area into surveillance of individuals? You think they've moved over an ethical code, perhaps, even if an ethical code existed. I'm not sure it did, but as you're bringing it up, let's investigate it. You're suggesting that the ethical code has been broken. Is that right?
I think so, because the whole program, which is called Sharp Eye or Zhu Liang program, is about surveillance of their citizens, which is illegal in my country. You can't do surveillance of anybody. In fact, it's a it's a big crime to do surveillance or phone tapping and things like that. So you can't even tap anybody's phone, even though it's a child's play, but you can't do it legally, and you can't do surveillance. And if you do that, it's called stalking. It's a crime. So, so I think it's so different. The government themselves are doing a Sharp Eye program. But let me share an experience which it's my personal experience, which I faced in
please do.
Kenya. In Kenya, 20 years back, when I was based there on an assignment. What I learned is that the security services, people who are like Group 4, or these people who provide security guards on lease, those people were allowed to use AK-47. It's not the cops. The security guys, usually, they don't have a license to kill. Even very specific people will have license to carry guns, who are
Yep.
actually transporting the currencies from ATM to bank, etc. But
Yep.
in Kenya, I was surprised to see that people were licensed to carry gun and also licensed to shoot people. And this was very gravely misused. So if there is a car theft somewhere, and if you report a car theft, the people are not very well trained. These security guards are not very well trained to handle that situation. So they actually shoot the guy from a distance because they don't want to risk their own life by intercepting that car. They just simply shoot it from all directions and the person dies. This was very gravely misused because if two neighbors have some sort of a quarrel between, one guy will call the security guys, hey, this guy stolen this car number. And this has happened. We used to read in the newspaper that a person driving his own car got shot by mistake. The security guys felt he is running away with the car, with his own car. So you can actually do these kind of things without killing. You can actually commit a crime and a murder of your neighbor. So I don't know what is the situation now, but we were very, very careful. We didn't want to even quarrel or even discuss anything political or non-political with our neighbors, because you never know when this can be misused against you. So imagine a situation in China when I can switch on and I can see the street of my a couple of blocks and see what is going on. And if I'm a crazy person, probably that's the only program which will run on my TV all the time. So I think that is a very big risk. And apart from that, there is a lot of AI being used, which is alarming.
The thing is, you're showing a very personal experience, and I've had several of those over my career in oil and gas, and yeah, it can easily be misinterpreted. The rules can be frayed at the edges. People that aren't particularly disciplined can quite easily just let off a round or two, and there'd be no value of the life that they're shooting, because that's what everyone does. So there are some ways here where it could be, yeah, it, there needs to be more rules and regulations. Is effectively what you're saying, which of course is the antithesis of having the freedom. But sometimes you have to have rules to make sure freedom is still available. But I think it's an interesting issue, as you said. I mean, I've got cameras all the way around the house. Why is that? It's for my own security, our own safety. The majority of people, certainly in this part of the world, have now got what they call the Ring doorbell, the video doorbell, and it picks up people that are getting close to your doorbell even before they've rung the doorbell. And why is that? Well, you're protecting your property. An Englishman's home is his castle, I think, is the phrase that we've commonly used. And I suppose the issue is it is for our security, but when it's done by the state and they then put it on TV as a reality show, there's a lot more to it than security. And I think for today, maybe that's where we leave it, because we've not got the answers. We're not the Chinese upper management level here. We really do not know why they're doing it. But there has to be big questions asked about the increase in surveillance that's happening. The purpose of surveillance. Is it to protect us, or is it to find out what we're doing? Perhaps they're one and the same thing, if truth be known. I mean, if you're an honest individual and you're going about being a law-abiding citizen, are you bothered? And in many respects, I take that point. I'm not bothered, really. You want a picture of me, fine, good luck. I've got a face for radio, it doesn't matter to me. But it will to criminals. It will to people that want to be away from the public eye that want to pass around without being noticed. So, you know, the fact is that it's now live, you know, it's on screen, it's on the big screen at home. You can watch it. It is reality TV. I expect from what you're saying, it's even got its own channel. And there's probably a red button where you can report questionable activity. You know, maybe it's to cut down on TV production. I mean, who knows, really? Just trying to be a bit light about the arena. But as I say, if you've got something to hide, then you're going to be worried. If you haven't got anything to hide, then what's the point, really?
Well, I think most people, 99% people, don't have anything to hide. It's only the 1% who are in nefarious activities. But I think the whole point is that it's that feeling that somebody is watching you all the time. It is going to have psychological issues. I mean, just think about it. And they are saying
Well, I think
publicly,
the reality is people have been watching us all the time. You know, imagine the Cold War, where you had lots of spies. You know, people employed by respective governments, and they were literally on street corners sending messages back. You know, maybe that was snail mail, maybe it was pigeons. People have been watching all of us for ages. The issue here is that this is overt now. This is out in the open. This is so out in the open, it's on a TV screen. It'll be interesting to see if something really goes wrong that potentially might undermine the government if the TV screens go blank. That's when you know that it's there for a different reason. But if the TV screens are kept open and there is this free information arena, then, you know, perhaps it's a good thing.
well, let's see. I think this was a big news today about Sharp Eye program, and I was like very enthusiastic to see what is going on in China and how people are behaving. Anyway, you know, we never hear anything out of China, and we don't even hear people are scared to even put one word on the social media. So we don't know how people are feeling. I'm sure human beings may not feel comfortable. There are 1.5 billion people there in China. I don't think everybody will feel comfortable, but let's see. The first time it has come out, even though it has been going on since 2013.
Let's see. And the first we'll hear about it is probably about 5 years too late.
Fine, Neville. So this was an interesting news to discuss. Thank you so much for sharing your views. We will catch up tomorrow again with something more interesting.
Nice to see you, CK. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye.